All right, guys, this is a quick tutorial to give you some tips for designing a strong Google presentation that you can use in your geography class or in any class that you're creating a Google presentation. So the first tip I have is to focus on your content. So you are tasked to investigate and find information about a specific topic in geography class, and your synthesis phase of that is to create a Google presentation that you're going to present in no more than 5 minutes, where you're conveying to your class and to your teachers the information that you found. And you're able to find that information in your research, and you're able to synthesize that in a way that makes sense to you as a learner, and that will make sense to your audience, which is your classmates and your teachers. So when you're designing the content of your Google slide, I'd really like you to focus on thinking about planning ahead. You know that you have to present this information in no more than 5 minutes. So as you're processing that, find the information in your research guide, and as you look in that synthesis phase, figure out what is the most important piece of information that you need to convey in your Google presentation. And plan ahead. Don't just start going into your Google presentation creating slides. Think about it beforehand. Write it down in your research guide or on a piece of paper, and kind of limit yourself to no more than 10 slides. I think within the 10 slides as a maximum for this assignment, you'll be able to kind of process what is the most important information that you need to have for your audience to know about your specific event in geography. As you're looking at the Google presentation, I want you to focus also on font. So I know that there's a lot of cool fonts out there, and there's a lot of great themes that Google has available in Google Slides, but I really want you to be consistent in the font choices that you make. If you decide to use a certain font on the first slide, continue using that same font choice throughout the entire slideshow. That consistency is going to be really important so that your entire presentation is streamlined. For the font size, I'd really like you to consider using font size 30 as a minimum. Remember, you're presenting this Google presentation to your class on a smartboard or a projector. So if your font is too small, your audience, which is your classmates and your teachers, they won't be able to see it. When you're also thinking about font choices, choose something that is not going to distract the audience. And again, the goal of the presentation is for you to present this information and for your audience to learn something after you present. So if your font is pretty or you like it, it looks really awesome, that's great. But make sure that the font is allowing the students to stay focused and to learn from your presentation. Citations are also really important. So whenever you are using any information for this project, you need to make sure you cite them. But your citations are not just limited to the books and the databases that you use for the research guide. You also need to make sure that you are citing any digital media that you find and you're using in your Google presentation. So that can include any images, any videos, any graphs, or any charts. And Mrs. Finn and Dr. Zayas will be able to help you cite those images or those charts or those videos if you're not sure how to do it. But please make sure that you remember that using images without citing them is plagiarism. And you should also remember that we have instructed you all how to find images that are copyright and are fair use available. So make sure that when you are Google searching for images, that you make sure that you're going through the advanced search feature and you're finding things that are fair use. And that's super important. And if you don't know how to do that, you can come see me or you can see Dr. Zayas or Mrs. Finn, and we can all help you to make sure that you are meeting expectations and that you aren't inadvertently plagiarizing with the information that you find. Media is so important when you're giving a presentation. I know that I like to include images and videos in my own presentations, but I want you to be thoughtful in what you choose. So in this example I put on here, I've added a chart, an example of a collage of Polaroid pictures, and I also added a GIF of Michael from The Office, where he's talking about PowerPoint. And as you can see in this example, our eyes are always on the GIF. We're always watching the short video. And so I want you to be thoughtful when you are creating your Google presentation to not choose funny animated elements that are not going to help the purpose of your assignment, which is to engage your audience and to help us learn something from your project. So again, there might be some cute pictures or fun images that you might want to include that you make sure that you cite, but please don't go astray and find things that are really taking away from the purpose and the overall essential question of your assignment. Also, when you're choosing media, let the images or the graphs or the videos that you're going to include, allow them to help tell your story. So on your slides, try to have an image without as many words as you typically would if you were writing a response or an essay. Let the image, again, tell that story so that we aren't distracted by so many words on the screen. The information is so important as well when you're creating your Google presentation. Make sure that you are the expert at what you are teaching us. What your teachers do not want to see is a slide full of words and you reading directly from that slide. On the opposite, what we really want to see is that we have short snippets of phrases on those slides that aren't necessarily complete sentences. They're just phrases or a few words that tell us a little bit about what your topic is on that slide, but your voice and your articulation as you're presenting, that's really what we want to hear. And that's really where the meat of the information is coming from. Not from the slide, but from you facilitating and you presenting that information to us as the audience. So again, you're the expert, not the presentation. You are the expert. I also want to make sure that you are looking at your Google presentation before you turn it in. Make sure that you proofread and you look for your mistakes. Make sure that all the words that you're using, if they're proper nouns, they're capitalized. If they are specific places, that you've double checked to make sure that you spelled them correctly. If you don't do that, then your authenticity and your credibility as the presenter is going to go down, and that's going to affect your grade. So please make sure that you do look at your overall Google presentation before you turn it in on its due date so that you can ensure that there are no mistakes. And if there are any errors when you're looking it over, correct them. Or if you have any questions about proper grammar or what's really expected of an effective presentation, you can always ask your teacher or me.